Right, hi again, everyone. Today is a very exciting day because every day is exciting. No, okay, it's exciting because today I have with me world's 2016 top 8 finisher, Timmy Wong. Hi, Timmy,
Hi, Ben. Thanks for having me.
and thanks for your time. So I Timmy will be here to commentate the match between Western and myself in the losers bracket finals. But first. Wes will be playing the Californian Hate Bear deck, the Siphon Wizard with Obelus, and Timmy having played, tested, and played the deck at Worlds. I think it would be great to have him share his insight on this deck. Um, so Timmy, I guess you all built this deck with a couple of co-op archetypes in mind, like HB, but more importantly, all the yellow decks, CTM and Sync in particular. Um, why do you think your deck is very well suited to well, or rather very well tech against yellow decks?
Well, leading up to Worlds, obviously, I play tested a lot against controlling the message, and it's a really tough deck to beat. It's a really good deck. I would play like a ton of hate cards, like you know, Parishas and Rabbit Holes and oh, networkings and stuff, and it just isn't enough, even if you draw it, because their game plan needs like it's too multifaceted, I guess. Um, so so what I started to realize was that trying to fight the tags was just really, really hard. So that naturally makes me think like, is there a good deck that can compete that like doesn't try to fight the tags? Um, because if you just concede the tag battle and accept that you're going to be tagged, then their ID ability doesn't do anything. They only have so many tag punishment cards because they have to play economy and ice and other corp cards. So if you can build a deck that like mitigates most of the tag punishment cards that the yellow decks play, then and just ignore tags, then you can probably do really well against the CTM decks. So that's what made me think that a Siphon deck might be well positioned if we could just tune it just right to be able to deal with controlling the message.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest innovations is using fouls. I mean, it sounds quite obvious now in looking at hindsight, but fouls allows you to break all the ice for no credits at all, and yeah, when your accounts are getting close, for most runners that's quite a big tempo hit, but for you, just go on with it. You you
Right.
don't really need credits to break ice, so that's really cool. Um,
This counts as one of the biggest tag punishment cards for sure. Yeah. So,
yeah,
and that and like resource destruction, right? If you don't play resources or not many, then tags are a lot less meaningful also.
yep, that too for sure. So, I think you are running a slightly different list from the rest of the West Coast crew. I think you're a bit similar to myself in that we like taking tier one deck lists and tinker with it a bit, adding your own personal touch to make it just that slight bit better. So what I saw is that you had an addition, one copy of Imp in your deck, which you used to quite good effect in our game in the top cut. So talk to us, walk us through your thought process behind including the imp.
Okay. Well, basically, the day before Worlds was the Icebreaker tournament. Uh, we all agreed that none of us were going to play Cape Bear because it was secret.
Oh
We knew,
yeah,
I know. We knew it was probably good because we tested that deck a lot. So we decided to hide that deck, but we could play like any other decks. Um, and after the tournament, we like convened to discuss like what was good and what was bad, and we decided that Hate Bear was still probably the best deck to play. So, but we wanted to tune it for the meta now that we've seen the Icebreaker tournament, and that's when I guess the team decided to add Rumor Mill uh, and Eater, like just finalized the last few slots, and they ended up on 46 cards because they couldn't figure out what to cut.
hmm?
Uh, I am not a fan of 46 cards in pretty much any deck. Uh,
I think it's doubly worse in a deck where you really want to find the early account Siphon. I would have to agree with you on that one. Siphon
yeah,
Wizard, you
exactly.
really want 45 cards.
My original regionals version played 3 making an entrance also in 45 cards, and we had to cut that because of space. But I really did not want to like dilute the consistency any more than necessary. Uh, but they couldn't figure out what to cut, and I personally was not like totally sold on the deck just because I don't know. I like to explore all my options, right? Um,
Sounds good.
yeah, and everyone else was like so convinced by the power of the deck that I had to like be the one doubting it and making sure like all our other options were exhausted. Um, so the night before Worlds, I stayed up really late, like trying to figure out like all the decks I could play, and I built 4 runner decks and 3 corp decks. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, I know. And during that time, I looked at this. The Siphon was that I was trying to figure out how to cut it down to 45 cards, and I decided the worst slot was Eater. It's really just like a weird tech card against HB decks, because you have this like alternate plan of playing a really long game where you like click for credits every turn and then cutlery all their ice. Uh, but it's like horrible to play. I hate playing that kind of game. So I decided like I just don't even want to do this. So I cut the Eater. And then I realized that hey, this class create also is like not a very flexible card, right? It's only good against the meat damage decks. But what I'm really worried about is exchange of information and psychographics, because those 2 cards I don't really have a good counter for generally. Whereas meat damage, I can try to like keep a large hand size with Obelisk and dodge the kill that way. So I figured that Imp would be a lot more flexible in that slot. It's just my personal preference from a long time. Is I don't want to play a card that only does one thing. I'd rather have a card that does a lot of different things and is never dead.
And yeah, I
Uh,
think that was a pretty good call. Like, there were a good number of boom decks on the day. Power shutdown and no power shutdown both. So, I think that it should have paid off dividends during the 2 days at Worlds, I would suppose.
yeah, I think my most memorable match was against your friend Dave Rogers in round
Oh
8 of
yes.
Swiss.
Yep.
Yeah. Uh, so I had I had 4 losses. So if one of us swept, then we were like likely in to the tournament because we could draw the next round. And
Yes. To
he
clarify,
was
this was round 8. This was the second last round. Yep.
yeah, penultimate round. Uh, and he was playing Andy against my CTM and Sync, your Sync against my Wizard.
Yep.
And in retrospect, those are like 2 kind of bad matchups for me. So I'm pretty surprised I pulled that one out. But against the Sync, how I did it was he rezzed this Archangel on R&D, and I had Imp. So like I just recurred this Imp like 2 times.
Gosh. Oh, that's a very nice play. I like that. Yeah, because your board state tends to be quite empty. You don't have a lot of things installed. So, wow, that's nice.
Yeah, and I also had a pretty early rebirth. So I rebirthed into Kim, and I had this Imp, and I just like trashed everything that was useful. So that's like pretty much how my deck can beat your deck, I think.
Yes, I
Uh,
have to agree with that. I mean, given that you actually played it out like that, I'm now quite surprised that you actually chose to rebirth to Omar against me. But okay, interesting.
yeah, it was a really close call, but I thought I already had the Imp, and you were like more set up than Dave was.
Fair
So I
enough.
was worried about good ice on R&D, basically. I
Sure.
didn't know that you played like Zero Toll Booth and stuff.
Ah, okay, yeah. Right, so I guess the take home lesson for everyone watching is keep your options open and don't be afraid to experiment with fringe options like Timmy does. I mean, he is one of only 2 people to make the top 8 at Worlds 3 times in a row, not two. Uh, Yeah, to boot.
I'll
So
give a shout out to Dave here.
yes, Dave Hoyland as well. So you two are really rocking it. Solid
Thanks, man. You too.
Yeah, solid $8 picks. All right, all right. Enough rambling on. Let's get down to the game proper.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay,
I
so I took my first turn already. This is ice ice and take 1 credit. And Wes here, I think he draws 2 cards, plays the same old thing, and because he was scouting my deck, plays a plus creep. So it's your fault, Timmy. I know that.
how
I'm joking.
I'm pretty sure my deck just plays Obelisk, like whatever. um, yeah, I don't remember if I actually told Wes about your deck or not. I was like pretty, not in my usual mental state after that tournament. Rather inebriated.
Yeah, I'm sure all of you will. I mean, you guys actually had a very strong performance. Like, I mean, we managed to show how strong the UK meta was, but you guys were very close behind. Like, the West Coast meta dominated Worlds.
Yeah, both of our metas together, I agree, were like top 16 we were 10 out of 16, right? That's
Yeah,
pretty crazy.
which is crazy because yeah, prior to this Worlds, I think not a lot of people had pegged you guys as the favorites. Maybe yourself, since you had a good record, but um, not your yeah, not the rest of the West Coast crew in general, I guess.
Yeah, we had like I don't know, we had a good showing.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think
out of the big
West
number.
West had some good showings prior to this.
A few, but this is definitely his breakout performance. It's like really
Yeah,
impressive that he did first in Swiss again, and then uh, third place. It's like I'm really happy for him.
yeah, very very solid performance. All
Uh,
right,
he's
so
been
what?
like overshadowed by Noah a bit, I think, in the past.
That is true, yeah, and yourself, of course.
Yeah, but they're like really close friends in San Francisco, so
Hmm.
uh, yeah, it's great to see him do well. Okay, so this game, I guess.
Yep. So
So
there's the foul
you're both
setup,
setting up.
but no siphon, I believe. Yep.
Yeah, I'm curious whether Wes kept his hand or not. It looks very slow.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Yeah, but generally you do try to mulligan for siphon, or at least keep an opening hand with siphon, don't you?
And having to discard knifed is a little painful because one of your best dice is resistor.
Yeah, exactly. That was. Yeah, I was quite curious when I saw that in the bin. That's a pretty good shout. Um, I suppose he had more
So
important cards in his hand.
yeah, I'm sure. It's figuring out what to discard with the deck is one of the biggest skills. Let's inject into
Rebirth, most notably.
yes. So what are you thinking on your side of the table, Ben? You sculpted your hand with Jackson. You're pretty sure that Wes is on the siphon deck now, seeing all these cards.
Yep. So I mean, I kind of knew that he was playing this same deck as yourself.
Mhm.
Because I was talking to Brian before this, who was also in your meta, and kind of figured that all of you would be converging on the same deck. So
Right.
having played against you, I kind of knew what to expect. So I just got the agendas out as quickly as I can because last thing I want is for him to aggressively run HQ and steal my breaking users.
Yeah. And that's
Also,
your plan in any matchup anyway, right? To score the breaking uses.
yeah, that's true, but doubly so in this matchup because not only do I remove them from circulation, I also bring myself down to 2 credits, which means Siphon's not very good for him. And yeah, as
Yeah.
you can see here, he's running aggressively on HQ, and I'll tax him for 1 card. So usually I don't
So
really feel comfortable raising the resistor at this point because you can easily knife it. It would be nicer to wait until you grab a couple of tags, but in this case, he was Edward Kim, and yeah, gotta keep him
you
out
have
somehow.
to, yeah, you have to try to keep him at least.
Yeah, Edward Kim is one of this deck's worst nightmares. Can't stress enough how difficult it is to win when you're getting hammered. Boom's gone, 24/7 gone. There's not a lot you can do. So I guess one of the biggest priorities here is needing to ice up HQ. So
Yeah.
from your perspective, as the wizard player, what's your next plan? Do you just draw up for either a medium or a siphon and then roll from there?
Definitely keep drawing cards. West has to keep moving through his deck to get his options. But I really want to trigger Edward Kim as much as possible. So I really want to be running HQ also.
That's
But
true.
there's a bit of a dilemma because, like, say West has DDoS in hand or something, right? If he gets off DDoS Siphon, then he doesn't want you to be able to res your ice. So maybe he's drawing for the missing piece so he can land that combo.
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So
You played against Brian last round, right? Did you guys play the same matchup or the other one?
nope, I was
Nope, I
running.
was.
Also, I think your mic is a bit, okay, that's
Oh,
better.
sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it was a different matchup, but it still felt quite familiar. You were kind of doing the same thing to me as well. Early HQ pressure is a problem, especially when he's Kim.
Uh,
And yep, he accesses
early
an,
rebirth pick him is certainly the right call, I think.
oh, for sure, yeah. He accesses an Archangel here, but has Foul Style, so no point triggering it. And at
For a
this
long
point,
time, I actually tried to make this deck work out of Edward Kim, but it was a lot worse against CTO.
oh yeah, and any sort of asset spam for that matter. I mean,
Yeah,
nowadays you just have to start as Wizard or Valencia if you're NR.
yeah. Unfortunately, it's too bad.
That being said, Rebirth is a very powerful card, and like its value only went up with Omar being released. I kind of
It
feel
went up
that
a lot.
yeah, it's like even in Wizard, it's definitely correct to have a Rebirth in it. Like most Wizards don't run Rebirth, like Double Fox or regular Temujin Wiz. There's no influence for it, but it's such a good utility card as a one-off.
Yeah, I'm now of the opinion that pretty much any wizard deck should actually just run rebirth. It's so versatile and powerful.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so Wes actually has a siphon in hand. He has a DDoS in hand. What do you think of DDoS siphoning right now? He's
How many
currently
credits do you
pressuring
have?
opponent.
3?
He has 9 credits.
Your
And
credits.
gets the DDoS down.
How many credits do you have then?
Oh, I'm on
3?
3. Yeah.
Yeah. He probably wants to wait for full value.
Okay, fair enough. I
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, like
Keep,
siphoning 3 credits is only 1 turn of clicking for you, right? But 5 is almost 2 turns.
yep, that's true. Although on my end, I'm definitely trying to keep myself um
Mm-hmm.
below 5 credits, so he's
Yeah.
not never ever gonna get full value out of
That's
siphons.
smart play from you, but at least that also slows you down. Just the threat of the siphon.
Yep, that's true. Although unlike most other corp decks, I think that's one really interesting thing about my deck. I'm not really concerned about tempo at all, in the sense that my win condition is not with building a remote, so I don't really have to worry about advancing my um the state of my remote. I just have to install ice every single turn and click for credits. Speaking of which, clicking for credits is a highly underrated action.
So it is.
Like we were chatting in Slack, and some guy pointed out that it seems like clicking for credits is what good players do, like Timmy and Dave Hoyland, doing it a lot, and I can see why.
Sometimes what you need is money, and there's an action that gives you money.
Yeah, I mean, if you click for credits a lot, it means you can spend more deck slots and other fun stuff. Okay, so interestingly, Wes discards his second knife into the bin. Again, very interesting call.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been able to land a siphon, so maybe he's moving off of that plan, which is very unusual. But if he doesn't take tags, then your resistors are not doing very much.
I suppose he's waiting for his first medium before going for the double server pressure. Going for siphons, alternating between siphons and R&D accesses. That's my only assumption here. Oh wait, no, he does have a
Yeah,
medium. Yeah,
here comes the mediums. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely he needs the medium to be able to pressure R&D effectively. Uh, Otherwise, he's just going to run out of cards with fast.
That's true. Yeah, I guess you're right. Like, there's not much point siphoning me unless he can take advantage of that by running R&D, uh, and waltzing past all my unrest ice. So I can see that.
He doesn't want to be trashing your operations though. That's what I'm trying to figure out how to do. Like, I have this really good idea against you. How do I take advantage of it?
Yeah, that's quite true. I guess it's a bit problematic because he doesn't really have medium setup. With medium, what you do with your deck is you cycle through it very quickly because uh, Obelus draws you so many cards. But here he doesn't have that medium setup, so running costs him a lot of cards, and there are a lot of good cards in his hand right now.
Yeah, it's a tricky spot for Wes. I'm curious
Yeah,
to see how he's going to navigate this.
yeah,
He
because
has
of
the
the,
Plastrate, at least. That's
exactly.
probably what's saving him, right?
Yeah, so I feel like he could have been more aggressive if he wanted to, because he's not going to, you know, immediately lose or anything.
What is your ice down right now? Do you know?
So HQ is Arc. I pop up into Archangel if I remember correctly, and R&D should be a bunch of taxing ice. Um, the bottom of R&D is probably Data Raven. I don't remember the other two, but probably some resistors. Yeah, Resistor
Yeah.
Archangel Raven is, yeah, I believe it's Resistor Archangel Raven. So when he runs R&D here, I decided that there was not much point raising the Resistor or the Archangel. Those are just card tags, whereas Raven forces the tag. So basically forcing him to make a decision here. Does he go tag me?
hmm I
Would
guess he's
you?
over his hand size, so cards don't matter very much. And also, you don't want the resistor to get like trashed prematurely when it's
Yes.
still weak.
Yep, that's quite important. Um, so would you take the tags here? Now you're running R&D. You do want that medium access.
I mean, you have to get into R&D at some point as the runner.
And you have to take tags
Uh,
at some point.
at some point, yeah. The only question is if you can do something better by waiting. And I'm not sure that you can because like HQ is also heavily defended, and if you're siphoning, then you're going to be taking tags anyway.
Yeah. So
But he could try to fight the tags for a bit. That seems to be Wes's play.
yeah. I mean, I don't think he's fighting the tags at all, given that he's on so few credits. Right now, he just decided that it's go time, so just get
But
one
didn't he
beast.
break the Raven Trace?
He did break the trace, mostly because he was over hand size, I guess, and he wanted to start pumping Obelus. So
Okay,
now his hand size
I
is 6, which is nice. I think he made the right call here.
think so. But the cats.
Yeah, the kitty cat. That's just unfortunate, but it happens. I mean, that's one of the strengths of this Sing deck against Hate Bear. If your R&D digging tool is medium, you are going to concede the cats.
Yeah, it's savage that you have 4 points after having done nothing.
Hey, I scored 3 of them the hard way. Okay.
Yeah, the hard way. By paying 2 credits.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, and a full turn. But yeah, so double resistance on HQ. I guess the initial thought was the more you siphon me, the harder it is to get subsequent siphons, especially if you run out of Davids. And the fact that he chucked 2 knives into the bin made it really really easy. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's really
chucking the
hard for him to trash both. So
yeah. So at this point, my
what's your
hand
hand
is
looking like?
yeah,
hmm
my hand is exchange and boom, and 2 agendas. So at this point, I'm thinking, do I go for the kill? Do I go for the agenda win? Right now, the agenda win seems pretty reasonable, but I guess since he left himself tagged, it made sense to just get rid of his siphon recursion and the DDoS for good measure.
Yeah, good call there. A lot of people forget to flip sync, but it's always a nice surprise.
Yeah, and kind of figured that he's probably going tag me from this point. So yeah, not much point uh, in playing. I mean, not much point in leaving the other flip side. So here I
Mhm.
read Account Siphon and realize it's a good card.
And you
Which,
finally left yourself with enough credits for full value siphon.
yep. Alright, so he ditched Deja Vu here. to break Resistor instead of the two I've had worse in hand. I'm not sure about that. Whenever I play Siphon Wizard, I feel that recursion is always so important that you have to keep it in your hand.
Yeah, it's often the worst early on because you don't have anything to recur yet. But after drawing this many cards, I don't know how valuable the I've had worses actually are. Uh, like, Wes can't go too fast through his deck, or he'll just run out of deck.
Yeah,
But on the other hand, he does need a lot of cards to break this ice. That's probably what he's thinking.
yeah, he does, which is why he's playing the inject there. I suppose another reason is to to have free draw against Boom. If I play Boom, he can use plus creeps and to tank some damage and get draws from I've had worse, which seems great. But yeah, I think I would keep the Deja Vu here. The flexibility of Deja Vu is just amazing, and especially in this matchup, if I'm trying to kill you, um, it's going to be almost impossible because you can just use Deja Vu to recur plus creep.
Yeah, good call there.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I think keeping one deja vu is certainly the right call.
yeah, because of that, I think at this point I'm pretty much, especially with the exchange of information in hand. At this point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for the score win yeah, instead of murdering him.
Makes a lot of sense. There really is not much my deck can do against your like archive exchange plan.
I mean, that requires a lot of stars to line up nicely. It happened to in our game, but most of the time it doesn't happen that way. Um,
Yeah, but in this case, you just need one more cat to be scored, and for West, you need West to hit cat and food, and then you win.
yep, basically that. The problem right now is I do have both in hand. I have both the food and the cat in hand, but I don't really have the money to make it work. So right now I'm just turtling up, clicking for credits the hard way. And again, this is where I think the extra siphon recursion comes in really handy because if Wes can siphon lock me, he will buy himself time to run R&D more.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your plan to set up once you have enough money?
So I guess we'll see that later, but it will involve scoring the food the hard way, and if he does steal it, that's exchange food right there.
Makes sense.
Alright, so he's going on R&D, and this is where I rest the resistor. Strength 4. He jokingly asked me whether I wanted to pump the strength of resistor by unloading the Raven tags. Strength 4 is a nice place to have resistor, because he's forced to break it with Faust. Now, it must be said that because he's Edward Kim, he's actually digging through my deck very quickly. Most wizards, my R&D is usually quite impervious to most wizards because most of the cards are trashable, but if you're trashing stuff with Kim, you get through my R&D pretty quickly. So that is something I'm quite worried about as well. There's not much time to purge. I do want to win before he gets to see my entire deck with mediums.
Yeah. So the agendas you're worried about are 3 food and 1 NAPD, right?
Yep.
And 115.
Yes. So the 1 food's in my hand, so there's 2 foods left, and the NAPD which he's about to steal right now.
Okay.
And a whole bunch of operations. And he doesn't. He reads Observe and Destroy. Really interesting.
Good card to know about for sure. When I saw that on R&D, I was like, okay, I need to plan for this card. Oh, the famous dance.
Oh gosh, the memes.
What was the dance about?
Yeah. So I basically top decked the Sweet Sweet, and I asked him how many cards in hand. He was like 7. I was like, whoa, okay. I'm now rich.
Yeah,
And
that's huge.
yeah, that Sweet Sweet was huge. It basically allowed me to make this game-winning play, or like basically forked him into a lose-lose situation. So what Sweeps does is it gives me enough money to uh actually score. Actually, how did I do this? We'll see. I don't actually remember how I did this, but I believe it involved. Hmm. I'm not sure how I actually did this.
Alright, we're both in suspense then.
Because at this point, I remember I saw a winning line of play. It was definitely for the scoring route. So I took my 6 credits from the Sweet Sweet. Oh right, because he stole a
He stole
global
food already.
Yes,
so
okay,
you can
okay, that makes
exchange.
sense. Yep. So I exchanged the food, which brought me to 6 points. And with the QPM on the table, this is now my 7th point, which I'm threatening for the win. And West knew that as well.
Yeah. Alright, so do or die time for Wes.
Yeah, so this is where you really wish you had the 1 copy of Imp in your deck.
Yeah. Being able
Actually,
to
no.
imp QPM was huge.
No, Imp doesn't work with QPM actually.
It
It doesn't.
we asked the
Apparently,
judge at Worlds when I played it against Dave.
yeah,
And
I think that was the wrong ruling, but
hmm,
yeah, okay, I take that back. Yeah,
okay.
that doesn't work.
Oops. Alright. We'll have to clarify that one.
Yeah. So
Luckily I impacted that game.
yeah, I don't think it would have. So this is so as West here, you are kind of pulled into running either R&D, HQ, or archives. Um, the winning line of play here probably was to land an account siphon on me, but given that there was double resist on HQ, that would be really taxing. That basically blows away the David.
Yeah, but that buys him another turn, so it's still worth it.
I was on 9 credits, I think, so
Oh,
a
okay.
single
Never mind.
siphon doesn't do it.
So I think so I heard the story. I don't know if it was this turn, but Wes was counting your agenda points.
Oh yeah, that
And
happens later.
okay.
Uh,
So you have 6 points and he has 3. So
Yes.
that's 9 points. And he forgot that you were sync and had a smaller deck, so you only had 18 agenda points.
Yes. So he thought he had after stealing this 15 minutes. But going back first, yes. First click he ran R&D, which makes the most sense because with your deck you want to actually hammer. I mean, yeah, spend your first click on running on the multi-access so you get lots of cards from Obelis.
Yeah.
So he stole 2 agendas here, and that's where we get to what you were mentioning. So he
That's what
was,
he needed.
yep, and he was counting the number of outs left available for him, and he did only in fact have 1 out, but he miscalculated. He thought there were 2 outs because he thought I was running 20 agenda points.
What's the last out?
The last global food in my hand.
Okay.
So
yeah.
he knew there was 1 more global food left somewhere, but he thought there was an additional 2 pointer somewhere else as well.
Yeah. So if there are 2, he figures that at
His-
least one of them is almost certainly an R&D,
Yes.
and that he can get it if he just runs R&D.
Exactly, yeah. I'm not sure if that changes his decision with this click. Now it's his second click, he's wondering what to do here. And yeah, he takes some time to decide as I do some Hollywooding. Pretending to be very nervous about R&D.
Nice, nice.
And yeah, this is one of the fun parts about Netrunner. It's very similar to poker because you get to bluff, not just with Mushin no Shin and all the fancy Jinteki tribes, but also psychologically when you react to things happening in the game. It can have an effect. Like, if the food wasn't in my hand, if the food were in R&D, that is the exact reaction you would expect from me. Like, oh no, he's going to dig my R&D, he's going to win.
Yeah. But to be fair, in your shoes, I would also be very worried that he just decides to run HQ.
Yeah, that is definitely a possibility, but at this point I felt quite safe because turns out the double resistance on HQ ended up being a big deterrence. Like, he
Yeah, it's very strong here.
not
probably
only
means-
does it defend the siphon, but it also basically says, what's the point of running HQ if you're only going to get a single access?
Yeah, but I mean, Wes is pretty sure it's the last turn of the game. He has a huge hand size, so he might be able to afford paying through a double resistor twice with fast.
Yes, I think he could. It's a very risky line of play though, because this empties his hand and leaves him vulnerable to boom.
Yeah, true.
for a single access, and with no Eddie Kim to boot. So yeah, either way, it just looks really bad for him. The correct play was running HQ, obviously, but he did not see. I mean, to him, it was never mathematically worth it to run HQ.
Oh, it's a really close call because he has to decide. Okay, assuming that West calculates correctly that there's only one agenda left, he has to figure where is it more likely to be, on the bottom of R&D or in your hand, right? And I
Or it
think
could
the
be
answer
archives.
is,
Yeah, there's one face down in archives.
Mhm. But I think it's probably most likely to be in your hand because he hasn't run it that much. Uh,
Yes, that's a very important factor.
you're pretty likely to be holding like one agenda. I think more likely that like because you've drawn through so many cards, it's more likely that you have the agenda in hand than that the like I don't know like 5 and 40 not 44 chance or whatever that it's on the bottom of R&D.
That's true. And you've seen a lot of cards on top of R&D anyway. So what would you have done here? You can see that he has a David in hand. Would you go for a Hades shard play? No, you can't because Obelus has triggered. So either just get one access with and break it with Faust, or would you install David? He does have a David in
Uh,
his hand.
he has a David with 2 counters now, right?
I think no. I think he used his entire David getting through R&D the first time, and he doesn't have enough money to install the David right now. So I think either way, he's only getting one HQ access regardless of what he does.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to see the exact math. Uh, I think he might be able to get 2. I think I would try to run HQ and get an access, and then try to decide from there.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
siphoning would have been his best bet. At least delay the game for one turn. But yeah, he goes for R&D instead,
yeah.
and yeah,
So what's going with here?
so he spent his second click running on R&D. He had enough cards to break through everything, but I slapped him with one more tag from the Raven, and
Okay.
yeah, and then he decided to jack out, which I found quite curious.
Uh,
Yeah, he jacked out, then spent his third click drawing a card before running again with the extra card. I'm really not sure about that.
wait, why did he jack out?
I'm That was what I was very curious about when playing against him at that time. Like it only made sense to just go through the entire server. He definitely had more than enough cards to access.
But what possible benefit does jacking out give?
Nothing. I don't know.
Like maybe he just made a miscalculation. So he ran R&D and then jacked out right away.
He ran R&D. Let's get to that part. So I gave him the tag here. So instead of requiring 8 cards to get through R&D, he now requires 9. And he thought about it and went, okay, I'll jack out instead.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's quite an iffy play. I guess he wanted to keep a bunch of cards in his hand. Like he had a bunch of useful cards and didn't want to ditch any of them. But yeah, he decided to jack out, draw a card, that's the same old thing, and then rerun it.
Uh, okay. Maybe Wes is thinking about some kind of like boom scorch play, and he wants to keep I've had worse in hand to not die to that, just in
Yes,
case.
that's probably it. Although he did deduce that the install card could be a QPM as well. So yeah, I
Yeah,
guess he's gambling at this point that it's not a QPM and that the game might not be over after this dig.
yeah. As the runner, you don't have perfect information, so you always have to try to play to like all your outs, right? Like maybe the corp is just super bluffing you here, trying to like make you overextend and die.
For sure, yeah. It could have been a Jackson. That face down could easily be a Jackson. Also interestingly, he did not trash the boom. The first time he ran through, so he's seeing fewer cards right now. Even though that doesn't
Uh,
make a difference to the outcome.
I imagine that's probably just a mistake.
Yeah. So yeah, and that was the QPM which I scored at the end for the win. So
Oh, what a game.
the hugs.
Yes, Tagore is very happy for you.
Hype man.
Mhm.
So overall, I guess one thing that you would say you would do more in Wes's shoes would be to just hammer more, apply more early pressure and break more hammers as Kim, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Um, it's yeah, your deck was really effective because it was like very well positioned, but also because it was unexpected, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
we um, we were used to playing against CTM, which plays like subtly different ice, I think. Because CTM like draws so many cards, they always seem to have like Toll Booth or Archangel in like just the right spot.
Mhm.
Uh, so it's probably become almost second nature for us to like play around that. But your ice is like not as fearsome, I guess. It's like smaller and more taxing.
Yeah, most of the ice is tag ice, which you don't really care about. Turnpikes, ravens, pop-ups.
Yeah. So I think Wes could have done well if he just like assumed that all your ice was just kind of garbage and just ran through it a lot as Kim. Then
Yeah,
he could have had a really good chance of disrupting your combos. Um, basically, like trashing your exchange of information is like the one thing that turns the game around, I think.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, that sounds
Uh,
like a pretty good plan. Running aggressively is this deck's worst fear because especially if you don't get tagged, stealing a kitty early on is really bad for the co-op. And as you said, disrupting the combos, be it exchange of information or 24/7, just hurts me so much.
yeah, and if he made the right calculation and decided to run HQ, I guess then he gets like a 1 in 5 chance of winning. Uh,
Very slim there,
yeah,
and
pretty
that's
slim.
not even guaranteed from his point of view.
Yeah, for sure. If he can only get one HQ access, then maybe the right call was to go R&D twice. Knowing what you did, that wouldn't have won him the game, but it could have like seen the entire deck, I think.
That's true. Yeah, I think that would have been better as well. And to trash the boom, basically trash everything you can and see as much of the deck as possible, or even run archives.
You have like 3 Jacksons and 2 Booms are the only trashable cards, right?
Pretty much. Yep.
Yeah. Cool deck then. I'm in.
All right. So I mean, that being said, Hate Bear was still a very good meta choice versus most of the field. The fact that it got so many of you to the top cut shows how good a deck it is, especially when it can beat the one CTM deck that most other runners are struggling to deal with. With intervention coming out, how do you think Hate Bear is placed now? Now that cards like Data War and Best Defense are on the rise.
Yeah, it's a lot fishier. Uh, Mostly the fact that it's such a known quantity now. Like every time I play a game as Wizard, the Corp always ices HQ now, first thing. Um, it's a lot less effective when people are expecting what you're going for. And like you said, there are 2 really good hate cards against it now that just got released.
I mean, to be
Uh,
fair, as the creator of Credit Clicker 3000 and 4000, I'd be very surprised if people don't ice HQ against you. First thing.
yeah, fair. It's a good deck. Like you don't just get sunk if the Corp knows what you're doing, but things do get a lot harder. Like you don't get nearly as many like Raffle Stomp wins.
That's true.
Um, yeah, I think this new pack was really interesting because it like really shook up all the decks that did well at Worlds. Like I think Paper's less effective. I think Sync is less effective now too. Would you agree?
Definitely. I mean, we did get Best Defense, but um, I guess it's not that bad. I guess the bigger problem is that now people are more aware of this deck and they know its weaknesses. Which, like, if West knew the deck, if West was running more aggressively early, this win wouldn't have been so. Um, yeah, it would have been more dicey for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he did end the game on 6 points. Does seem pretty close.
So close yet so far.
Yeah. That's the beauty of it.
Yep. All right. So I guess that'll do it. Congrats again for your strong showing at Worlds. Again, not easy to make top 8 3 times. Gotta give you that.
Hey, not easy to make second either. Well done yourself.
Thanks. Alright, and to all viewers, hope you found this interesting. And thanks for watching again. And happy net running. Goodbye.